Hi everyone. So today's look is a look, but it's also about how to troubleshoot eyeshadows, how to make them blend nicely and not get a muddy look. My advice is do the crease first. Back when I was learning how to blend eyeshadows, I was just kind of winging it and I didn't really know that there was a real technique to it because the beauty community on YouTube hadn't really grown to what it is today. So if there was a video like this for me back then, that would have helped save a lot of time and practice. So I hope this kind of breaks it down for you. And in the link below, I'll also provide a link to or in the bottom bar below, I'll also provide a link to my transitional eyeshadow blending and strawberry blush technique video, because a lot of people are liking that. So yeah, in this video, it's pretty much about how to get non-muddy eyeshadow. And my advice is to do the crease first. That way you can see where the crease is going. And if you don't like it, it's easier to remove because it's not like a whole look you've got going on. So I hope this video is helpful for you and breaks it down and tells you or shows you how to do it. And you can do this with any crazy, colorful, fun look. And thanks for watching. Alright, so to get started with the look, I've already prepped and primed my eyelids with Urban Decay Primer Potion in Original. And I've placed a little bit of Lush's Color Supplement directly under the brow bone for a highlight. Now for the crease, we're going to take the MAC 219 and a little bit of Kid and Wedge blended together, just two soft browns. So that's really all you need. So I'm just going to dab into Kid and then dab into Wedge. And then we're just going to cut the crease with those two soft transitional shades. We're going to go above the natural crease just so it doesn't look too low. I like to go about that far with my crease cutting. I'm just going to draw up a little V. If you want it more blended, you can always just do the blending in sort of like a oculi motion, occipital bone motion. It's up to you. And then I'm just going to take the 219 and fluff out the very outer corner so that it doesn't droop, at least on my eye. If you have hooded eyes, you could still do this eye because we're not even following our natural eye shape anyways. Now we're just going to take a little bit of Wedge and we're just going to dab into that with a tapered blender. And we're just going to shade underneath where we sort of cut out with the 219. I'm going to take a little bit of Kid, which is just that pinky brown again. Inglot number 390 is the dupe. And we're just going to blend that in right about here. And then we're just going to blend that in right here. It is getting pretty high close to the brow bone, but I'd rather it do that, which doesn't bother me personally. But I really hate having like a harsh line right there. Now we're going to take a little bit of Saddle by MAC, which is just that sort of soft medium brown, and we are going to take that color and start placing it into the very outer corner of the crease, as you can see. If you don't like the shape I'm using in this particular tutorial for the eye, you can also refer to my transitional colors and strawberry blending blush techniques video, because I kind of do the same thing with the layering of the browns, as you can see here, but in a different shape. Now we're going to take a little bit of Corduroy, which is just that medium chocolate brown. Swiss chocolate has like a similar feel to it, so if you have that by MAC, you can take that. I know a lot more people have Swiss chocolate than Corduroy. It depends. I prefer Corduroy to Swiss chocolate because it's also a brow color to me. on certain clients. So we're also gonna take that and now just sort of scoot it in. We're gonna do like a little C shape right here, and we're just scooting it in to create sort of like an ombre effect with the outer corner. This is gonna give the look a lot of depth and definition for the final outcome. Now we're gonna just sort of blend that out. As you can see, it looks a little dark right here. Some people like that and they can just add their inner tear duct. For me, it doesn't look well blended. It almost looks like I stopped blending and just left it like that, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna take a little bit of Kid right here and we're going to pull that in a little further. Now, in order to avoid that sort of messy brow bone look that I have seen on YouTube, I'm not going to take a very soft brush. I feel like sometimes this can go very wrong very quickly without even trying when the eyebrow brush is way too soft. So I'm taking this sort of stiff, flat, synthetic type paddle, and this is going to, we're going to have to control the product and control the brush with this. So it's a little bit more work, but it's not going to look as muddy. I don't think the 227 looks muddy, but sometimes it can get that way because it's like tap and go, and then it just sort of erases the eyeshadow in a funny way. So this one we definitely have to really play it down ourselves, but sometimes when we have to scoot around the eyeshadows ourselves, that's when we get the best result. There's really no such thing as do-it-yourself eyeshadow. So I'm just going to scoot that in. So I really love to do that with an eyeshadow shade that's pretty much my skin tone color. So even if you have a face powder, you can go ahead and take that. You don't have to go out and buy a separate highlight color that matches your skin or anything like that. So now I'm going to take a little bit of Dazzlelight, which is just a very opulent highlight color. There's a really nice dupe of this in the Romantic Eye palette. It's called Soulmates. And a really amazing dupe of this in the Comfort Zone palette by Wet n Wild. This is very like nice and kind of original, but it is still dupeable. It's just a basic highlight color. And I like to put this color, because it is so bright, at the peak of my brow bone. That way when everything's already blended out, this just lays on top really nicely and gives me that glow that well, a lot of us are looking for in a highlight shade. So I like to go for that. If that's still too bright for you, you can delicately pack on a little bit more of your concealer shade. Over the top of that, and that way you have a more gentle gleam. So if you want to do like a more day look, that's nice. If you want to do like a more night look, you can always just add the glow like so. Now if you want to add your lid color, in order to avoid keeping it muddy, I think that adding the lid color last on top of all this is a great way to go. That way, in case you did blend down a little too far, you can just sort of pop it back, brighten it back up. That way you're not having like a dark lid color you have to try to diffuse out into the brow bone. So I definitely like to do the lid color at last, especially if you're somebody who's still kind of playing with eyeshadows and learning. So I'm going to take a little bit of a loose pigment, which I also think is really nice if you're learning, because they're really opaque and they sit on top. So that way when you leave the house, your work doesn't look like a mess. My one tip though is to not put on foundation if you're working with loose color. So I'm going to take a little bit of Goldilux from Sugarpill. I hope you can see it better on the lid. It's just that nice gold. Blah! Brains falling out of the sky. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that on my brush, just a paddle brush. Now one huge tip is to not try to mix it in the lid, because you're going to put the lid back on the pigment and then the water is going to seep down into the pigment, thus ruining your pigment in the long run. So just take a little bit of water, Visine, Max Fix Plus, or even Lush Tea Tree Toner, anything to make your pigment wet, and then spray the brush directly. And then pat that on the lid. I think I sprayed it off almost. So we're just gonna go ahead and pat that all over. So you could kind of see that, because we did go over the lid a few times with corduroy just so it didn't blend too high, that wet pigment definitely covers that. But that depth is still under there, so that it doesn't look funny. If you don't want to use this wet, you can also take a cream eyeshadow or a creamy base and pop that all over the lid. So there you go. Now in order to avoid the effects of harsh liner, I can't stress enough knowing how to work a pencil. So I'm just going to pull my lid taut. And we're just going to blend that out on the upper lash line. And then if you'd like, blend it out on the lower lash line, pulling out your lower lash line a little bit. You don't want to pop this directly into your eye by accident. I've seen some very skilled people on YouTube be able to do it just by sitting still and not popping out their lid, but that's up to you. You can always tightline first before you put on any eyeshadow. That way you can sort of lift this area up and put it under there. I'm going to take a little bit of Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner in black, and we're going to go over the upper lash line. You can also find this technique in my transitional video, because it kind of shows you how to use your eyeliner softly. Just pull it out to a wing, just because I want to sort of make it look more sultry. This looks more youthful to me. I'm going to take a little bit of Urban Decay 24/7 liner in Gunmetal, just for a little bit of fun, and we're going to place that on the lower lash line. I actually do not own an individual gray eyeshadow, so I'm just going to be taking a little bit of MAC's Vellum, which is just that sort of white color, and we're going to use it to set Gunmetal. I'm going to take Ardell's Just for Fun Vivid Lashes, and these are in Sparkles. I really like these because they kind of look a lot like wispies, but with very refined glitter on them. It's not like tinfoil-y glitter, so they won't hurt your eyes if you're in sunlight, which is really nice. These are really fun for like a fun day, but they're still like subtle enough that it's not completely costumey and obvious, so I really like them. I've actually worn them with neutral looks during the daytime. But of course I know that type of look is not for everybody. But it does look nice with the shimmery shades in the Naked palette, and then you pop these on. Beautiful. Just gonna go ahead and pop those on. The lash band on these is fairly invisible, which is another reason I do really like them. So you can choose to run over the tops of those with Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Liner to cover any glue if you have any sort of clear glue peeking out. And I'm going to take a little bit of MAC's Full Fuchsia blush, just this really intense hot pink blush. I like to take these really beautiful, intense, universally flattering blushes up on a duo fiber hairbrush. I know Marlena or Makeup Geek just released a mug brush that's a good dupe of the 188, and it's pure synthetic, so And her brushes are affordable, and I don't believe she would give out a bad brush as being a real makeup artist. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dab into that. Just poke some up. Just want to lightly color the tips of your duo fiber. And I'm just gonna start at the back of the hairline. My contour's already on. I'm sorry if I didn't say so before, and I will put a link below to my Strawberry Blush Technique transitional shading video. So in case you missed that, you have both sort of easy to follow steps. And then I just do sort of an ombre effect towards the front of my cheek. I go lighter as I go forward. I know some people will tell you to stay rosy here. I think that that looks too doll-like and childlike and not in a positive way. So I like to stay darker here and then go forward here very, very delicately. That way you can pack on the pigment and get that pigment going, but you don't look as scary. Now to achieve a full plump neutral pout as I have here, I took a little bit of Urban Decay's 24/7 lip liner in Paranoid, and then I went over that after I lined my lips and filled them in with MAC's Peach Stock. There's a very good replica of this in the Wet n Wild Mega Stays. It's just a peachy satin color. It's gonna get re-promoted later this year if you want it. It's from Pro. And then I also shaded in the outer corners to give it a very voluptuous effect. So that's a little technique on lip contouring. I can do that in a lip combo of the week if you'd like to see that. If not, then oh well, for me. And then I'm going to take a lip gloss. And let's take a little bit of Purr, because I don't use it enough and it's a really pretty peach. It's like an opaque version of Love Nectar. Alright, so that completes my look and I hope you enjoyed it.